Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our weekly virtual chat. My name is Gulshan, and I'm very excited to see everyone here. Today, we have a very special program because we have 4 presenters today, not like we usually do. And today, we'll be talking about Latin American culture in the United States and Mexico. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to spend this evening with us. Thank you, Jared, Wendy, Caroline, and Marco. And I'm going to introduce all of you guys to our audience so that people know who you are. Let's start with Jared. Jared Rodriguez is a United States Embassy English teaching assistant living and working in Namangan. He is a second-generation immigrant from Colombia and Guatemala, born and raised in the U.S. Prior to Uzbekistan, he lived and volunteered in Mongolia as an English instructor. His background is in technical leadership and mechanical engineering. Hi, Jared. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here as well.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Wendy Coulson. She's an ESN coach living in Namangan. She has lived in Mexico, her adopted country, for over 16 years. She's an international trainer who has taught and trained teachers in 8 countries. Hi, Wendy. Good to have you today.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Marco Belmar. Marco is originally from Chile, but became a United States citizen in 2011. He's currently living in Karshi. Before coming to Uzbekistan, he was living and working in Southeast Asia as an English teacher. His wife is from America, and she's working in Karshi as a teacher trainer from the American Council program. Hi, Marco. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Carolyne Mesa. She's a Fulbright ETA English teaching assistant living in Urgench, Uzbekistan, where she teaches Uzbek girls traditional Latin dancing such as salsa, rumba, and cha-cha-cha. And her parents were born in Cuba, and she was raised in South Florida. And
hey, hello.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
So it's great to have you guys, and I'm giving the floor to you. I'm sharing the presentation.
Great. All right. Hola, amigos. Hello, friends. Welcome to our Chai Chat. We are just so excited to be here with you and share our stories, our experiences, our cultures within Latin America. I know many of you, when you think of America, you think of just the United States. But actually, there are so many other beautiful, amazing countries within America. So we'll be talking about countries like Chile, Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, all considered America. While each of us are Americans, we are so deeply influenced and shaped by countries outside of the United States. So we'll first start with the story of a man, Marco, who's from Latin America, who traveled to Mexico and to the United States. Then we'll share what it's like to have parents born in Latin America who migrated to the United States, how and why they left and came to the United States, and how it is to live as a first-generation American or United States citizen. And finally, we'll speak how a U.S. citizen moved from the U.S. to Mexico. Each of our stories are unique, and we hope you get a nice, broad perspective of what it means to be from America. All right, Marco, take it away.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Hola y bienvenidos por participar en este chit chat with American Cultura Latinoamericana. Thank you for participating with this Latin American culture chit chat. I hope this will be insightful and entertaining as well for you. So I start by introducing myself. My name is Marco. I'm from Chile. I was born there 54 years ago, so that's my age too. And so the next question is, where is Chile? So that is a nice slide there that show my country, or my old country, because I am American now. And one of the features of my country is its shape. As you can see, it's the last country in South America. It's very long and very narrow, very narrow. Chile also has very extreme weather. In the very north, you have a desert, which is very dry desert. I do believe that it's the driest desert in the world, even more than the Sahara Desert in the Middle East. And in the south, in the very south, we have glaciers and snow and a lot of rain. It's very cold. So that is too extreme. I do believe that the only weather we don't have, or Chile doesn't have, is tropical, because we are far away from the equator line. So that's one of the characteristics of Chile. The second characteristic is the mountains. And that goes to our next slide. That's the picture on the left. That's the desert and the north. That looks like scenes from the moon or Mars. And the picture on the scene from the right that's the south. That's the south. You see one of the greatest glacier that Chile has in the south. So that's pretty much what the country looks like. And the other characteristic is the Andes, the mountains. So this is our version of the Himalayas that you have here. Over there, that is the Andes. I do believe that they are not as high as the Himalayas, but they look very similar. And that is exactly where I was born. I was born in the middle of those mountains. And the next slide show the city where I was born. That is Seoul. That's a picture at night. That's where I came from. I lived there the first 5 years of my life, 4 or 5 years of my life. That's my father was working there in a copper mine, and my mother was working at the hospital. So that's where they met, and that's me from that. From that first or second meeting, or third, I don't know. So that's very quick about Chile. Later, my family moved to another town, near Santiago, which is the capital. And I stay in Chile for a long time. I decided to live in the year 95. And the reason why I decided to live, it was really for adventure. My country at the time didn't have any political problems or financial issues. It had in the past, but at the time, everything was fine. I had a stable job. Actually, I did study there too. And later on, I just want to travel. I was always been very excited to meet new places. Always attract me to go to different countries, and I want to know about the culture and different language. I always want to mention that this was before the internet era, so there was no Facebook, nothing. Most of the influence that I received was from pictures, that I saw in encyclopedias or magazines, or movies that I saw. It was the social media was underdeveloped at the time compared with how it is right now. So that to me was my motivation. So my original plan was to go to Europe, and again, because the pictures, that's it. And why Mexico? It's just by chance, really. I had a friend there that was living, a Chilean friend that was living in Mexico at the time. And he told me, if you ever decide to live, you can visit me. I think you would like Mexico. And I was very ignorant about Mexico. I didn't know nothing other, very few things that I have seen in television or something. So I went there, and surprise, that happened to me what happened with many foreigners that go to Mexico for the first time, I fall in love with the country. It's an amazing country. I can say right now that I miss more Mexico than my own country, and that is because it's the culture is amazing. People are very friendly. They treat foreigners very, very well. Very similar than what I have experienced here in Carchi, where I go to the supermarket or I go somewhere and people, they notice that I am a foreigner. They ask me where I came from. They invite me. They want me to try their traditional food. That's how it's Mexico. What happened there, it was easier because we share the same language, Spanish, and also my accent, Chilean accent, is very distinctive than many other South American accents. So people, they were very attracted by that too. They like to listen to me. And so all that, you feel special. Everywhere you go. So that's one of the reasons why I stayed there, and I had the opportunity to travel a little bit. Mexico, as you can see in the map, is a very big country, so very diverse too, and beautiful. I mean, some of you have seen pictures, and so it's amazing. The second reason why I stayed there longer, I was planning to stay there for 2 months, and at the end I stayed 5 years. That went a little longer. So the second reason I stayed there, I think, is the next slide there. That's the reason why I stay longer. This is Brianna. This is my wife, and she is American, as you heard in the previous introduction. So she was working there as a teacher, and I was working in a restaurant. And I met her there. I'm not sure how that went, our first date, because I didn't speak English and she didn't speak Spanish. But somehow, over the months, the years, we ended up together. And that picture is very special because that is a pyramid, the Chichen Itza pyramid. That's near Cancun. That's probably a town that many people know. So why is it special? Because you can see people climbing, to the top. So on top of that pyramid, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. So that was, I don't remember if that was before she said yes or after. I'm smiling, so probably it was after. So that's the reason why I stay in Mexico longer. Later on, when we decide to get married, we start the process of thinking what we are going to do and how we're going to continue. We stay in Mexico, we move somewhere else. So we decide to move to the United States. I honestly, at the time, I wasn't much. I was interested, but that going to the United States was never my dream. I really want to go to Europe and other places. But since, she was American and she told me a lot about America, the opportunities and everything, and seems like a good plan. And at the same time, I didn't know if the visa process will work better for us. The visa process are always very long and laborious. It's just take time. But I guess we were lucky in that sense that our visa process took a few months, about 8 months or something like that. And so we moved to the United States after that. I arrived there with a fiancé visa, which is a visa that allowed me to marry there, and we married a month after we arrived to the United States. And one of the pictures show that I moved to Oregon. That's because her parents, they live there, and we moved to Oregon. That was the first state. So after we got married, we moved to Arizona. And that's a picture. So the picture on the right, that is my family, and I'm the baby. I'm the baby. My mom, she has me on her arms. That's my father, my brother. And the picture on the left, that is both families. That is my mom, the smallest of everyone. and that is Brianna's, also Brianna's family. And the picture on the bottom, that's my mom with Brianna's father and brother, which both are very tall. Yeah, that's a background for them. Huh? Yeah, and sorry, that was a. I forgot about that picture. So, well, so to try. I'm sorry. I'm trying to summarize like 40 years or 35 years of my life in 10 minutes. So, so it's difficult. So to try to make the story short, moved to Arizona, from Oregon to Arizona, and that's I start finding job there. So South American, trying to find job, and that's when language became a challenge for me. And the reason why is because I don't think if I tell you that, but I didn't speak English when I arrived to the United States. So that was an issue, a big issue. And that is something that I want to probably come back to that with other stuff that I want to tell you, because you cannot communicate. And that is a problem. The English that I had was very, very basic, not enough to actually work in the United States. I went to several interviews and I understand 20% of what people they were talking to me, and that's depend your personality, that either motivate you to start learning English very quick, or it can put you down, and you became frustrated. So I think I had a little bit of both. I was motivated and at the time frustrated that I can, I have all this energy that I want to do more, but I could not. So what I did, and on that sense, I followed the same pattern that many immigrants that they don't speak the language do, which is doing labor work. And the reason why is because it's easy for someone to show you what to do. You don't have to follow rules. You don't have to communicate. You don't have to talk with anyone. So that's the reason why many immigrants, including from South America and other countries, they work in construction, restaurants, or in cleaning services, because that is what you can do. And that will not change until you became fluent in the language. If you don't, you are going to be doing that job for the rest of your life, which is the case for, unfortunately, it's the case for many immigrants. So I try to emphasize that, especially I know many of you that you are already studying English and trying to apply for scholarship to the United States. Just that's a huge advantage that I didn't have. So, but you do. So again, to try to make a very long story short, I started studying by myself. I started going to libraries because I couldn't afford going to a community college or an institute to learn English. So I started going to libraries. Libraries in the United States usually offer free English classes, and also study by myself. And that's what I did for a long time. And actually, the first over time, I get self-confident with the English level that I had. And I start taking classes in a community college. Community college are the equivalents of a technical institute here in Central Asia. That you can take college courses there and then apply for a university. And actually, the credits are cheaper than going to university. So that keep that in mind, because that is what I did. I started taking basic courses at this community college. Very low challenge, and also to prove myself that I can do it actually. And that's what I did. And I forgot to tell you that before, that what I want to study, I want to be a paramedic. That's from the beginning, and later on, that's what I did. I went to a community college and then to a university, and I became a paramedic, and I work as a paramedic in the city of Portland for about 3.5 years. So that's the picture with a few of my coworkers having fun. So very, very quick, the aspect of America that caught my attention as a Latin is the organizational structure that the United States has. That's a very, very different than my Latin culture. Related with the schedule, being on time, being efficient, and increase productivity. Those are usually for South Americans are challenging issues. That you're always going to we have to work around that and adapt to that system in the state. And I do believe that I'm out of time. So I look forward later to answer some questions if you are interested. So that's it. Very quick.
Thanks, Marco. I think your story is truly inspiring, and
thank you.
Similar to how my parents and grandparents, how their journey is from Cuba to South Florida. So, if you didn't guess already, the flag here next to my name is the Cuban flag, right? So, where is Cuba? So, if anyone knows where Florida is, it's kind of the backwards L sticking outside. Yes, Florida, my home state. And right underneath Florida, about 145 kilometers south of the southernmost tip of Florida, is Cuba, my home. So Cuba is in the Caribbean Ocean, part of Central or South Latin, part of Latin America. And it's the largest island in the Caribbean Sea. Okay, so what happens in this large island here? Well, for one, dominoes is one of our favorite games. My parents, my grandparents, sisters, uncles, everyone, we would spend all night playing dominoes. It's this game where everyone has 10 chips. Each side of the chips have different numbers, and you take turns putting the chips down on the table to create kind of like a board. And whoever runs out of chips first is the winner. It isn't a party or a Cuban get-together if there isn't a Cuban dominoes table inside the party. Also, you see the picture to the left. Actually, that was taken by my mom when she went to Cuba. So, as I'm sure many of you know, Cuba has been restricted from international trade, at least I know from the United States. So many of their cars are still from the 1950s. But Cubans are very intelligent, I must say. So we've used our ingenuity to keep these cars from so many years ago alive and well. So these cars are relics, but Cubans know how to fix and maintain what they have. So when we're not playing dominoes or fixing cars or smoking cigars, we are dancing. And that, I think, is one of my favorite traditions, personally, because I've been growing up dancing salsa since I knew how to walk. Every Cuban Spanish party, every get-together, we'd all be dancing until the sun came up, and some of my favorite memories I have of my childhood. So I'm sure many of you have not seen so much salsa dancing. So I have a short clip of a video taken pre-COVID of myself at a social, at a salsa social. Yes.
Well, that's her.
So great. I hope the lag was okay. That's short clip. I have more videos if you want, but salsa dancing, like I said, it's something that's deeply rooted in my blood, and I've had the privilege and honor to share salsa dancing with many of my Uzbek lady friends. So if you're on the call, we'll continue our salsa classes next Friday.
Wow, that would
salsa. Yes, it's been amazing, and hopefully we can continue to share salsa dancing. Jared I think everyone on this call actually knows how to dance salsa. So if you're in Tashkent or Nurgench, we can arrange some socially distant salsa dancing because we're so passionate about it. Yes. So also outside of dancing, we have beautiful beaches. So it used to be Cuba used to be a very huge tourist travel destination. I'm sure many of you have seen Dirty Dancing with the one with Patrick Swayze. And it kind of attests to the beauty, a resort style destination. And people from all over the United States, Canada, Europe, Russia would all travel and enjoy Cuba's beautiful climate and lovely beaches. So you see, it's very beautiful. We have rich tradition and culture. Why would we want to leave? Why would my family want to leave Cuba? So unfortunately, in the 1960s, 1970s, my grandparents were about 40, 45 years old. My parents were babies. And at the time, the government changed, and my grandparents had tremendous fear that they would lose control over their lives. It was very hard to find meat or milk, eggs. Basic everyday products were almost rationed, and the quality of life had really slowed down. Also in Cuba, there was this prevalent myth that America, their streets are gold and money is on trees. So many Cubans wanted to go to the United States. So there are two different ways. So my grandparents on both sides are from Cuba, and I'm going to talk about their story from each side. So on the first side, on my dad's side, those are my grandparents, actually. I think one of those photos is actually in Cuba. But my dad's dad, my abuelo, he worked in a labor camp. And there was this thing where you can work your way out of Cuba, basically. So my grandfather left my grandmother and my uncle to work for the Cuban government. And after about 7 years, his name was called, and he was able to take his family out of Cuba and into South Florida, where they live today. And on my mom's side, those are pictures of them in Cuba also. I think the one on the right is them signing their marriage certificate, and the one on the left is a quinceañera, which is a very traditional Spanish party. When a girl turns 15, she becomes a woman, and it's a huge celebration. So it's something we take our womanhood very, very seriously, and it's a huge party. So on my mom's side, my grandfather, his family owned a grocery store in Cuba, and he had family that lived in Spain. So he left Cuba, went to Spain to see his other family there, and then from Spain came to the United States. Both my grandparents never returned back to the United States. There is some kind of hard feelings with how the government is, and they never wanted to return back to their home country. Right now, it is currently U.S. citizens are unable to go to Cuba, but we hope in the future the borders will open again, so we can travel and hopefully through travel and tourism help Cuban people and the country of Cuba become more wealthy and more prosperous. So what was it like as a Cuban American? So I said my grandparents came when they were about 40, 45, and my parents were babies. So my parents did speak English fairly well, but my grandparents never learned English. So my grandparents only spoke Spanish, and which is how I learned Spanish, through speaking with them. So my whole child upbringing was speaking both Spanish and English together. I honestly thought that was pretty normal. I thought everyone did that. I had friends who were, their parents were from Cuba or from Brazil or Haiti. So all my friends knew at least one other language. So it wasn't until I went to college where I kind of realized that, oh no, like being a Cuban American or Haitian American or Brazilian American isn't really the norm in some parts of the United States. That many people just identify as American, which is wonderful, which is great. So it gave me the opportunity to show my tradition of what it means to have family from Cuba, what we do a little differently, such as on Christmas, we play games, like I said, Cuban dominoes, we roast a pig in a big box all day long. So just like little fun things like that I can share with my other friends, that we can hope show the diversity of the United States. And similar to my story, I think Jared had parents who came from different places. So I'll let him tell you about that.
Caroline, thank you so much. Marco as well. I loved hearing about your stories and how going to any new place is never it's never an easy thing, but as I hope that you'll learn from my presentation, it is very, very rewarding. The effort never goes wasted. So, bienvenidos a nuestra presentación a todos aquí en Uzbekistan. Welcome to our presentation to all those that have joined us here today. Thank you for being here. Road to the United States, 2 paths, 1 family. The theme of sort of our presentation has been American culture as it's mixed with culture from different countries, including the United States, including Guatemala, Colombia, Mexico, places all throughout Central and South America. So I want to share a story with all of you today. It's a story of 2 travelers. Traveler 1, as you can see here in yellow, her journey actually begins in Cali, Colombia. Colombia is this country down here in the south. And then Traveler 1 moves to New York City. I think some of you have heard of the big New York City, one of the biggest cities in the United States, also a big center of cultural exchange. And then Traveler 1 goes to Washington, D.C., our capital, the capital of the United States. Traveler 2's journey starts in Guatemala, just south of Mexico. He is in Guatemala City, and then he travels to Miami. Miami isn't so far from Cuba, like Caroline was saying. Miami is also a city that is very big, like New York, and has a lot of cultural mixture. From there, Traveler 2 moves to Washington, D.C. So let's go to Traveler 1's first stop and learn a little bit about our traveler. Our traveler's name is Fabiola Guevara. She's 25 years old at the time just before she begins her journey. Her interests are art, education, and dancing. There's a picture of her there in Colombia when she was younger than 25, but she is very beautiful and continues to be very beautiful. On the right is a picture of Cali, Colombia. Cali is one of the big cities in Colombia that is known a lot for its very, very hot climate and a lot of dancing and a lot of rich culture. People of all different races live in Cali, and they all speak Spanish, and they all communicate in that way. So after being in Cali, Colombia for some time, Fabiola has dreams. She's thinking about maybe going to Russia, maybe going to the United States, maybe trying, to learn a new language. And she's very passionate about seeking higher education. So Fabiola's second stop is New York City, like we mentioned earlier. And in New York City, she attended art conferences and she studied English. She originally had only planned to be there for a few months visiting an uncle, but she very quickly fell in love with New York City. She told me that when she was in New York City, she felt like she was living in a dream. In Cali, although there was tall buildings, it was completely different compared to New York City and how dense and how many people there was. When asked what her favorite thing was about New York, she couldn't help but mention the stylish people riding the metro. Because New York City is such a unique and densely populated city with so many people with different backgrounds and different cultures. She said that when she was on the metro, she was in shock to see the different styles of clothing that people would wear. So let's take a break from Fabiola's journey and let's meet traveler number 2. Our traveler's name, and you can see he's pictured there, is Marcos Rodriguez. Not Marco, but Marcos Rodriguez. He is in Guatemala City, Guatemala. It is a smaller city that's also developed. And as you can see in the back, it's very beautiful. That in the back is a mountain, but it's actually a volcano. Guatemala is known to have a few volcanoes throughout the country. So Marcos at the time, right before his journey, is 8 years old. His interests are learning English and American culture. Marcos is not traveling alone because he's 8 years old. He is with his very, very brave mother and his older sister. You'll see a picture of them later. But his mother, Blanca, wanted to give Marcos a better life, give him more opportunity, and she decided to take a risk and travel to the United States. So Marcos' second stop with his mother and sister was in Miami. In Miami, he attended school because he was young and he needed to continue learning, but he also worked in a bakery. And when I asked him how he felt being there, what was one of his first impressions, he said he felt at home. And I think that because Miami is such a unique and big place where a lot of people from Latin America go for the first time when they visit the United States, a lot of them fall in love with Miami and stay in Miami. In Miami, you can actually hear Spanish spoken almost as much as you can hear English. And so it is a place that really made him feel welcome and feel at home. His favorite thing about Miami was the prevalent salsa music. We just saw Carolyne dancing salsa. Marcos is an excellent salsa dancer, and he really loved the amount of Latin American culture in Miami. And so I'm not surprised he felt at home because he could go to the bakery, speak Spanish anywhere on the street, and listen to his favorite music and dance. And so he did a lot of that in Guatemala, and Miami is also a cultural center in the United States. Our third stop for both travelers is the final destination, Washington, D.C., the capital. I think you can guess what happened when they met each other. Cali, Colombia, is known for its salsa music and dancing, and Marcos absolutely loved salsa music and dancing. And so when he met his wife, Fabiola Guevara, who then became Fabiola Rodriguez, they decided to get married and have a beautiful family. You can see a picture on the right. I'm on the left as a young child. My little sister, Genesis, is in the middle, and my older brother, Julian, is on the right. My parents are an amazing example to me of how putting forth effort to learn and understand a new culture can bring a lot of reward. And I think that's what I want the viewers today to really understand about our presentation in general, but specifically my parents' family and their story and their journey to the United States. So this is probably 30 years after both of them made it to the United States. I mean, they started from scratch. They didn't know any English. They didn't know how to talk to anybody, but little by little, they started to learn. Marcos is right here in the top left corner, and yes, he still dances, and yes, he lost all his hair. Viola Rodriguez is right here, my beautiful mother, and Blanca, the brave woman, took Marcos and his sister over here to the United States, is still currently alive, and continues to be grateful for the opportunities and grateful for the risks that she took to come to the United States. I'm here. This is my wife, Emily, and I think you can guess who my brother is. So I I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share this with you. And I want you to know that every single person in this picture is an American. We've been talking about how Americans can be from all over the place. And even the culture in the United States is made up of people from Colombia, Guatemala. I have Uzbek friends in the United States. We have Mexicans. My wife is from Ohio. My brother's wife is from Las Vegas. All of those cultures, all of those intermixed cultures equal American culture. I want to finish with a special message from our two travelers. I spoke with my parents last week, and I asked them to share a special message with all of the viewers in Uzbekistan here today. So, Fabiola Rodriguez says, seek any opportunity to mingle with people who speak English. Read the news in English, watch movies, and listen to music in English. Take time to study at least 30 minutes a day. If possible, participate in conversational study groups. And most of all, don't be afraid of making mistakes if people laugh at you because of your accent or mispronunciation. Laugh with them. Those are the best teaching moments. Marcos said, it is very important to learn the language and culture. The key is not to have preconceived ideas. Be open-minded and willing to sacrifice and overcome your fears. Find a good friend who speaks the language, who can help you with your pronunciation if you say something wrong. Again, thank you for all of you, and I will now hand it over to Wendy.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Excellent. Wow. It's hard acts to follow. Well, let me tell you a secret. Nobody sent me the memo. I went the other way. Let me show you a map. Okay, so I went from the United States to Mexico because I didn't know. I should have gone to Canada. I'm directionally challenged. That is true. So I am from the United States, originally from Indiana, the one in pink next to my arrow. But at the time, I could have been Marcos's teacher. I was teaching immigrants from Latin America, mostly Mexico and from Poland in Illinois. But in fact, in my very first class I taught, there was an Uzbek man among my very first students. So, yes. So what I did one day, I thought I was getting my second master's degree, and I was learning bilingual education, and I was surrounded by people from Cuba, Guatemala, Colombia, Mexico, and I decided, why work in the United States? I'm going to work in Mexico. And I did. I moved to Guanajuato, where you heard on March 5th, our wonderful speaker, Jose Guevara, where one of his parents came from. So here's a picture, living in the big city, and moved to a small town in central Mexico. Okay, so again, I'm not Latina. Latinos are people from Latin America. There's no confusion here. Like, I don't look Uzbek. Okay, I got from unmuted people. Okay. So in fact, most of my family, they don't even have a passport. They don't speak another language. But when I was little, I grew up with my uncle, who was a French teacher. He was fascinating with the language. And when I was a little girl, I thought, when I'm older, I'm going to study French. And I did. And I got to live in France. But Mexico, Latin America, Spanish is nowhere on the horizon at this time. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a few facts about Mexico. And we're going to see how the border is a bit fluid here, as Caroline mentioned in her introduction. There are 10.9 million Mexican immigrants living in the United States right now. Now you can debate legality of that, but it is not important. That many Mexicans are living in the United States, and we'll look at a few reasons why, maybe. So I kind of gave you a hint. Maybe I told you the answer. It wasn't for a better life, like Marco's wonderful grandmother took his family to Miami. I wasn't to study. I already told you I had a second master's. So what was it? It's the same as Marco. It was for adventure. Like I said, I thought I could work in the United States, but wouldn't it be more interesting if I did the same job in Mexico? So my sister's family had moved to Mexico, and there was a job in their children's school, and I took it. But like Marco said, I'll give you a little hint with this picture. Why do you think I stayed? Who is the person in the blue dress with the flowers? Why isn't it a white dress? Yes, it's my wedding. Actually, it's going to the wedding. The wedding hasn't even started, if you can believe it. Now, remember people talking about dancing? We danced our way to my wedding with my friends. And there's my husband, Jorge, right here in the tuxedo. So I plan to stay, like Marco thought, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. I'll learn Spanish. I'll get a little experience. But I met this man. Okay. And what are other positive qualities? The quality of life for me there is amazing. The weather, it's sunny every day. The food is incredible. Don't get me started. The travel opportunities, like you saw in Marco's picture, even in Jared's pictures. I've been to Colombia and Guatemala and Chile, amazing countries. And of course, the language. It allows me to express myself in a fuller way. I just love speaking Spanish. Okay, so here's my Mexican family. They are not boring. In fact, as Carolyne mentioned, this is Christmas. This is what we do at Christmas. We dance, we play games, something we never did in the United States. So right there next to my husband, this picture is a little bit old, but you can see. Did I mention they're not boring? They're not boring. Okay. All right. So a lot of people ask me this question, so I thought I would share with you. So everybody wants to learn English, get IELTS, TOEFL, this and that. Well, what do you speak? You went to Mexico. Well, we speak a language in my home called Spanglish. It's Spanish plus English equals Spanglish. And so, for example, instead of saying that's super cool, we might say that's super chido, because chido in Mexican is cool. Okay, so me and my husband mix the language, and sometimes he learned English from kindergarten, so his English is very good, and he's never lived in the United States. And sometimes he will speak to me in English, and I will speak back in Spanish, and I thought, this is mixed up. So, but that's the way we speak. All right. I love the laugh. So let me just share some of the gorgeous places there and get a little deeper into, why I'm there and what I appreciate and what Americans appreciate about Mexico, or U.S. citizens. The places in Mexico, look at these gorgeous places. This is the capital, Mexico City. This is a small town in the mountains called Quetzalan, and this is the capital of my state called Guanajuato. Beautiful place. All right, let's move to the culture. You can see these, I think this picture in the upper right-hand corner is taken in my town. It looks like it. And there's a very famous festival called Day of the Dead. We could do a whole chai chat on Day of the Dead here, honoring people who passed away in our culture. And these crazy people from Puebla, and some people say from Veracruz, swinging upside down. It's really a spectacle. There's festivals all the time. Every time you hear music, it's like, what happened today? But it's very common to celebrate. All right. Oh, the food. Okay, I'm going to pass this slide because I am hungry. And just like your national dish is palav, we have mole. If you go to a wedding, you might not have it every day like plov or osh, but you will have it at weddings. Any special event will have this mole. It's a sort of a chocolate chili sauce where you can have it with chicken and curry and always rice, and sometimes served differently. But this is a ordinary dish. Salsa is very famous, not the dance, but the sauce you put on the where you put on everything. It is very spicy, and we eat the fruit from the cactus. It's very refreshing, or drink the juice. Very delicious. So these are just a few of my favorite foods, and foods that are popular or gaining popularity in the United States. So you would like to try them, I'm sure. Okay, so I told you sometimes, as Carolyne mentioned, the borders are fluid. People are moving and customs move with them. Okay, so Mexican, what is very popular from the Mexican culture in the United States, if you will, is the piñata. So this is a special Christmas piñata. You might say it doesn't look like Christmas, but remember, we stole the sun in Mexico. We pulled it down. So we don't have snow. So this is a special Christmas piñata filled with candy or nuts or fruit, and you whack it and it all falls out and everybody goes running and to the death to get the candy. It's crazy, but it's fun. As I mentioned, Day of the Dead, but it's very popular now all over the world, especially from a Disney movie called Coco, now very popular. And also, let me let you in on a secret. There's a famous festival in the United States called Cinco de Mayo. They celebrate it in the United States. We don't celebrate it in Mexico, so don't tell them. Let them have fun. We don't do it. Maybe in the state of Puebla, but we don't do anything in Mexico. But let them celebrate, please. Okay. Very quickly, we're at the end, and so you only get 5 minutes, I think, of questions. So sorry, I'll be quick. This just puts into question this whole what it means to be American. So look at this map. Okay, somebody's not on mute. Sorry there. What does it mean to be American? Look at this is a map of America. So you can see some people say North America, Central, South, but it's all America. All right. So as a conclusion, to also put into question the fluidity of cultures and influences, this is a map of Mexico and the United States in 1930. Then we had a war between the United States and Mexico. And depending on what version of history you might have learned, doesn't matter, but the border crossed many Mexicans or went down. So many people who were living in Mexico were now part of the United States suddenly. Okay, so that means a lot of those traditions, those rich traditions that United States citizens know and love, just were there already and got deeper with the influence of Mexico. So let's also to talk about people moving. I told you Mexicans immigrate, the border moved, but many foreigners retire or many and work remotely in my town. So you can see me with a friend from England, from Denmark, and the United States visiting a grave of a very famous singer, Jose Alfredo, in Central Mexico. Jimenez. Okay, so we're done with, we left you 3 whole minutes for questions, Gulshan. Thank you, it was an honor.
Thank you so much. That was so interesting. That was super chido. So we have some very interesting questions for all of you guys. So let's see. So the first question. What is a Cuba's national holiday? And what kind of traditions and values carried out at that holiday?
Hey, great question. I don't think we have a specific national holiday, but we do love our New Year's. Actually, every New Year's, we have a tradition of we freeze grapes, and it's good luck to eat the 12 grapes right at midnight. Another tradition that we have on New Year's, we all get a brand new suitcase, and we take the suitcase and run around the neighborhood with the suitcase, and it means a year of travel and good luck. So we have some simple, fun traditions that we celebrate specifically on New Year's, and I think that's our most beloved holiday.
Wonderful, thank you. So next question. What kind of similarities between Latin American and Uzbek culture did you notice here in Uzbekistan?
I'll give just a brief answer to that. Definitely the hospitality in Latin America, Mexico, all the countries we've talked about. People who are Latin American want to have you over at their house. They want to talk to you the whole day, and they want to feed you all day, just like Uzbeks do. And so it's very, very heartwarming for me, especially. And I know that it has been for a lot of the other people that are here. We absolutely love it. It makes us feel right at home.
Yeah, I will add on that time is not as important. People take the time more for relationships than, for, the clock time. Making relationships and building them is more important than arriving at a certain clock time. And food is very important.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And dance.
I will add to that family unity. That's very also. I have noticed here that families that are very united. They live together. They do things together. The grandma, everyone. And just the other day we went to a restaurant, and you can see 3-4 generations in one table. They were celebrating the grandma until the babies, and that's the same in South America. That unity, the families, they are all keep together for. Yeah, that's very similar.
Thank you. Caroline, anything from you?
Yeah, I quickly just the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Uzbeks love to dance, and so do we.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Thank you. So next question. Why do Latino people eat dinner so late?
They don't.
They don't?
In Colombia, they don't. I lived in Colombia one year, and they don't. And they eat a lunch at 12 o'clock, which was strange to me because in Mexico, we don't really have breakfast. You might have a coffee and a bread, and then you eat maybe a sandwich at 10. So you won't eat lunch till 3. So, Mr. Irmatov, because if you eat lunch at 3, you're not hungry till later. But you don't eat a full meal again. You will have, again, some tacos, some of the things you saw on my slide. But I was surprised. But if you see Colombia's on the equator, the sun goes up at 6 and goes down at 6. So it changes when people do everything. And they get up early. I had to go to work early in Colombia, and the people in Mexico said, "Oh, that's so early. You can't possibly study at 6 o'clock," and they do. So anyway.
Just very quickly to add to that, the mixture of cultures, I think in Guatemala, I think it's probably more similar to how they do it in Mexico. They do have a traditional breakfast that they like, but in my family growing up with a Colombian mother and a Guatemalan father, they just kind of made up their own culture that was part of both. The things that they liked about Colombia and the things they liked about Guatemala, that's what they shared with me. And so that's kind of how we lived. We had very late dinners.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else wants to add up anything?
No, my guess is about what I mentioned before about the family unity. Probably at night is the only time where the family can get together because people work in the morning and in the afternoon and at night or go to school. And at night is the only time where everyone has the time. and they can get together. And so late dinners are a family event. You know, they're not just eat there. It's an event, really.
Great question. My family, we also eat at like 9 p.m. usually. To tell you the truth, I don't know if there's a specific reason, but Marcos, what you just said makes sense.
All right. So next question. Do your countries have magic castles like in the Disney?
Did you see my picture when I showed the Chicago and my town that I moved to? Did you see the church in the middle? And everybody thinks it looks like a Disney castle. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Strange question. What do you mean?
All right. And we have so many people who are saying thanks to you guys for this interesting presentation, and everyone is thanking you and saying hi. So unfortunately we have to wrap up, but this was a wonderful hour with you, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your stories with us. That was amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for tuning in. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah,
And
I enjoy very much. Gracias.
Thanks everyone for wonderful questions, and please don't forget to join us next Friday as we have Polly Sigielski talking about Women's History Month. All right, thank you and have a good weekend.
Chido.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Okay.
Buenas noches.
Bye.
Bye-bye.